Have you ever seen a fighter try to run out of the cage, accidentally KO themselves, or even fight with only one glove on? Yep, that's what you'll see in this video. Now, without further ado, here are some of the dumbest moments in UFC history. Running away is an unspoken tactic that was used by Chelsea Chandler when she faced Norma Dumont at UFC Vegas 77. Having threatened each other backstage in the build-up to their fight, Chandler could not back up the talk, because in the first 5 seconds of the fight, Chandler sprinted to the other side of the octagon after eating a stiff punch from Dumont. Dumont chased her, but surprisingly, Chandler's strategy worked, as Dumont wasn't able to follow up to deliver more damage. Unfortunately for Chandler, things never got much better as she continued to get the worst of the exchanges throughout the fight. When the fight was over, all 3 judges scored the rounds in favor of Dumont. Chelsea, on the other hand, did win on Twitter, as she became an overnight meme. Just like Dumont, this boxer was looking for the cage door in his first MMA fight. The image of Art Jimerson wearing one glove is etched in the memory of everyone who was there. The first ever UFC event featured fighters from different combat sports facing each other in the octagon. That day, a representative of boxing, Art Jimerson, was matched up against Royce Gracie in the quarterfinals of the UFC 1 tournament. But rather than wearing his 2 boxing gloves, he chose to wear one, so he could keep the other hand free for defending the grappling wizard's offense. Royce Gracie got the fight to the ground fairly quickly with some probing front kicks, followed by a takedown. Gracie was steps ahead and went right into side control, which no doubt Jimerson didn't know the name of, let alone how to escape from it. Gracie then moved to mount, and after a couple of palm strikes by Gracie, Jimerson panicked and tapped. Gracie went on to win the tournament with 3 submission wins that night. And funnily enough, the man with one boxing glove lasted the longest, but never threw a punch with that glove. Speaking of plans that failed miserably, seconds after Charles Oliveira choked out Justin Gaethje at UFC 275, a daring fan tried to jump into the octagon, but her attempt was quickly hindered by security, as shown in a viral TikTok video. The woman slowly lowered herself from her seat before she took off sprinting towards the octagon. The fan managed to just about get a foot on the platform surrounding the cage before a security guard pushed her away. After seeming dazed for a few seconds, she tried to run toward a tunnel at Footprint Center, but stopped and sat in a chair. Security immediately swarmed and took her away. Now we wonder what the woman's plan was had she successfully made it into the octagon. The same question could be asked of James Toney when he made his MMA debut. Now, very few professional fighters have dared to cross over to MMA. So it was a surprise when a former multi-divisional world champion like James Toney decided to try his luck in the octagon in 2010. After running his mouth at the sport of MMA and at UFC legend Randy Couture for months, it was finally time for James Toney to back up his words at UFC 118. And what a glorious failure it was. Within 15 seconds, Toney was put on his back, and shortly after found himself mounted by Couture. The 3-time UFC champion did not show mercy when he pounded on Toney's head until he was bored, and decided to end it with an arm triangle to put the boxer out of his misery.
He's going out. It's all over! Randy, the natural Couture! Just like that.
In 2018, Drew Chapman could have easily won his fight against Irvin Ayala, but suddenly, things changed so stupidly that it ended up costing him his victory. In the opening round, Irvin managed to drop Drew and attempted a follow-up hammer fist. However, by doing that, he inadvertently knocked himself out by hitting his head on Drew's knee. To prove that he's the bigger douche, Drew attempted a front flip on the unconscious Irvin that ultimately not only got him disqualified, but also suspended for the next 90 days. That loss must have hurt a lot, but not nearly as much as when Petr Yan made a mistake, which changed the trajectory of his career completely. At UFC 259, Petr Yan and Aljamain Sterling were battling it out for Yan's bantamweight belt. With Yan slightly ahead on the scorecards, he was up 29-28 according to 2 judges, while the 3rd judge had it 29-28 in favor of Sterling. Yan was on his way to victory. With about 40 seconds left in the round he had dominated, he framed Sterling for a knee, but the Funkmaster still had one arm on the canvas, thus making it illegal for Yan to strike Aljo's head. Eventually, he drove his knee right through the face of an already weakened Sterling, with a force great enough to knock out a horse. Sterling was completely floored by the blow, and after medical staff attended to the American, they declared him unable to continue. By doing this, Yan had lost his belt by disqualification to Sterling. The controversy surrounding the illegal knee escalated after the bout, when Khabib Nurmagomedov, who was in attendance, revealed what he heard from the sidelines. Khabib told UFC commentary team Joe Rogan and Daniel Cormier that Yan had been told to deliver the strike by his team. Yan's masked cornerman shouting, "Just punches, just punches."
Just punch! Just punch! There we go.
While others heard them yelling, "Yes, yes." And even when Yan landed the final blow, one of them appeared to cheer. Considering that a belt was on the line, MMA moments don't get much dumber than this. Sean Strickland's fighting style has always been comical, an MMA fighter utilizing a Philly shell while walking down his opponent in the most casual way possible. Well, such could have defeated any other middleweight, but not Alex Pereira, perhaps the most accomplished kickboxer in MMA history. Pereira was about to expose the style that had awarded Strickland so much success in the UFC. Rather than wrestle the vicious knockout artist, Strickland chose to take the unwise approach and keep the fight in the hand of Stone's desired terrain. Pereira opened up with some kicks, but Strickland, like a madman, kept pressing forward against arguably the most dangerous fighter in the UFC. He set the pace with a distracting jab and bombarded all levels. But a hard 1-2 from Pereira sent a hard warning of what was to come. Eventually, the hands of Stone spun the deadly windmill and annihilated Strickland with a left hook and a right cross that closed the show. Strickland became close friends with the Brazilian after and trained with him for his win against Israel Adesanya. In the third round of their fight, Beth Correa decided it would be a good idea to taunt Holly Holm while standing directly in front of her. So Holm taught her opponent a lesson the hard way. Correa urged her opponent to come at her, but what hit her was bigger than expected. In one of the rarest finishes in MMA history, Holm made her pay almost instantly as she threw a question mark kick that kissed Correa's face after following up with a punch to finish the fight. The ref saved Wood Correa from completely shattering into splinters. A video about dumb moments in MMA wouldn't be complete without Johnny Walker. Imagine suffering more damage from a celebration than from the actual fight. Johnny Walker was once thought to be a prospect to dethrone John Jones. However, after some time in the UFC, he became more known for his awkwardness and jokes, thanks to his performance in the Octagon. After a spectacular first-round TKO victory over Misha Cirkunov at UFC 235 on March 2, 2019, Johnny performed the worm dance as a part of his post-fight celebration. Unfortunately, Walker landed awkwardly on the mat and dislocated his shoulder. Now, this didn't stop Walker from doing the worm dance after his next wins, but he was for sure much more cautious. So which moment takes the crown for being the dumbest, and what dumb moments do you think we missed? Do let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a single upload. See you guys in the next one.